Despite the early morning light shining down on the city of West Crown in early Desnus, or May, it is quite warm. Although we are still in spring, our vicinity to the inner sea means that things get more summery very quickly. And so our trio that have left Obricken Gate and entered into Rego Cader, skirting around the southern side of the Ramble Gardens towards the western edge of the Ruin District, are already sweating. We see Ravaja, Zehkhun, and Sombra walking at an amicable pace, no rush, no urgency, but there is a soft tension, maybe more of a anticipation. Ravaja kind of clears her throat. So I wanted to thank you again, Sombra, for agreeing to come with us to this meeting.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, this place isn't exactly friendly, and I'm trying to improve my record of accompanying people safely through here too.
We can handle ourselves, she nods to Zehkhun.
Of that I have no doubt. But it's always better to stack things in your favor, right?
Correct. Zehkhun says you're more familiar with the politics of this city, that you could offer a fresh perspective.
That's an awful diplomatic way to put it. Yes, fresh is exactly what I offer. And Sombra gives a very cocky grin, but in her eyes sort of displaying like this is also genuine.
Well, this meeting is quite important. It's the first time I'm meeting King Whitechin, and I'm not sure what to expect.
What do you think to expect of someone who tries to claim domain somewhere? Someone who puts the title of king on themselves? What does that tell us about such a person?
Clearly, he's strong enough to keep whatever domain he's claimed. In Belkson, that would be enough to be king.
We've met our share of little kings and rulers who tried to carve out their own little share of land. But now, this king has reached out to us.
That's the other part I'm concerned about. I know you're close with Nico. He's become a welcome face at the Pleat, but his alliances lie strictly with the plant people.
What do you mean by strictly?
That if push comes to shove, he would choose them over us. Have I misinterpreted it?
Zehkhun briefly gives Sombra a look and then says, I don't think your judgment is entirely wrong. It's, however, only just one facet of the Nico we know.
Well, I wanted to make one thing's perfectly clear for our mission today, and she kind of looks at Sombra when she says this, that whatever decisions are made, they are made with the intention of achieving the best outcome for the orcs of the Pleat.
I mean, when you come to think about it, that's also a very West Crowny way to think about things. Things have to be the best for yourself, and that's going to mean bad outcomes for everyone else. How very black and white.
I've been in West Crown long enough.
I'm sorry to hear that.
At least we live in a proper hold, with walls and gates that can be shut should the city fall. And she smiles a toothy grin.
You know what? That's pretty cool. But I will say all of this. Yeah, you're meeting King Fool Whitechin. You think your queen recognizes another monarch? What does that say about you and your people giving audience?
Zehkhun, as you put that emphasis on your queen, Zehkhun shoots Sombra a glare, especially the way that it was said. And he's already keeping an eye on Ravaja, anticipating a certain tone in her response.
My queen. I don't remember swearing an oath of fealty to Abigail, but it is true. The Balks and Orcs are here in Cheliax with her hospitality. Without her, or Thrun to be exact, most of us would be dead on the edges of the Gravelands. destroyed by the Whispering Tyrant's undead armies.
Well, at least you know there's alternatives. All you gotta do is carve out a place and pronounce yourself monarch.
She nods and smiles, then looks at Zehkhun. I can see why you wanted to bring her along.
Zehkhun just nods, smiles, but when Ravaja moves out of his sight, he looks at Sombra and just shakes his head at her.
Sombra walks near to Zehkhun and gives a nice firm, slightly harder than needs to be, but firm smack on the flat of his back and jogs forward.
About a half hour later, we come to a series of city blocks that have been boarded off with makeshift walls, and we can begin to see goblin heads shaped like American footballs poking over the edge of the walls, looking down. We can see them holding spears, their red eyes sort of glaring in the bright morning sunlight, and then sort of nod. And you are led naturally along a pathway to a gate that literally has a rope and pulley system attached to it. And as you approach, the gate begins to lift and you enter into Whitechin's kingdom. This is a small section of city blocks here in the Rego Cader that you've explored the Cader in our previous adventure. Maybe you've also been here since then, looking around, what have you. It's ruinous, as we saw at the Temple of Erastiel. This place has clearly been refurbished. The desiccated houses have been propped up, not always with the best craftsmanship, but there's been a clear attempt to create a stable living space. Maybe not completely comfortable, but at least it's not in the 5-foot wide tunnel sewers beneath the city.
Hey, and whenever you want, it's really easy to go for a swim around here. Because Sombra tossed goblin into the canals.
I was wondering if there was any goblin here that responded to that.
Or winces.
Not yet. Waiting for you some way past the gate is a somewhat familiar face, a tall, broad-shouldered orc man wearing, I think, just like an open, loose, sort of brownish tunic. Maybe that's belted, not much else besides some short, soft leather boots, with dark green skin, lots of scars, approaches. Oh, hi! He first sees Sombra, and in Orcish greets Ravaja officially. I don't know if you remember me. My name's Havon. We fought a few months ago.
I do remember you indeed. You were witness to the bathing of one of your companions.
Oh yeah, that was a pretty neat throw. He nods at Sombra and grins at her.
You put yours up pretty well too.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I survived. That was a pretty nice fight. Ravaja's like, you know each other? Oh, okay, all right. She explains, yes, Havon will be escorting us. He is our ambassador. That's not the right word, but he's wanted to make sure that communications stay open between the kingdom and the fleet. And he nods and smiles.
Whitechin's kingdom. That gonna take some getting used to, I mean, seriously.
We are glad to be here on the wishes of King Whitechin. Why don't you take us to
Cool, yeah.
the ruler of this place?
Right away. Let me give you the quick tour. And he kind of takes you through some of these, it's probably 3 or 4 city blocks. Points out the metalworking district, which is one house, maybe a square, where you can hear a lot of anvil and hammer sounds. He also points to the residential district, where you can see a lot of goblin families, as well as some orcs. Probably I would say maybe 25% of the people you see here are orcs. The rest are goblins. And then over here, yeah, that's our entertainment district. And there's one tavern that's kind of been opened up so that you can see into it and people performing on the stage inside. Maybe some goblin bagpipes.
I might go in there.
You want to go in? We might have time.
Maybe another time.
Well, yeah, if the meeting goes well afterwards, we can grab a drink.
Strong drink, right?
Yeah, how strong do you like it?
Yes.
he like laughs and Ravaja elbows him, like looking, like
Duties
furrowing her brow.
first,
Right,
then
the
pleasure.
The king awaits. And here's town hall. And so there's one big manor here that the left side of it has completely caved in, but the right side of it has sort of been elevated, and you can see probably like goblin decoration, which in my mind is lots of recovered metal that's been welded together in funny shapes and styles. Maybe not necessarily the most aesthetic pleasing. There is a sort of what we here on Earth would maybe like think of it as like an immature vibe, like perhaps like kindergartners posting pictures on the walls that they drew themselves. But you can tell there's thought put into this. There is intention in decorating this space.
Sombra falls back a bit to be closer to Zehkhun and Ravaja and says, this King Whitechin is actually doing a better job than Thrun taking care of its people. Maybe you have a different alliance to make too.
That's what we're here to find out, Sombra.
You're not serious.
I think that Sombra was making a little bit of a joke, Ravaja.
Do I look like I'm joking?
Let me put it this way. And Sombra makes sure that Havon is not of hearing distance. Yeah, Whitechin may have a place here, but that's only because Thrun isn't taking him seriously enough to be a threat. They don't care yet. The moment Thrun has reason to care, this place is burned to the ground. There is no partnership. There is no acceptance. There is no recognition. There is too much stuff on the plate to care for now, and when they care, there will be nothing left to care about.
What's Ravaja's response to that? Because Zehkhun is drawing in his mind parallels to the current alliance that the orcs of the Plead have with House Thrun. What's Ravaja's response to this?
She nods. I'll take your words under consideration.
But at the same time, yeah, Whitechin's an optimistic fool for thinking that he's a king within West Crown, in Thrun's seat of power. But there's something to be said about the optimism precisely that fools have.
I look around here, Sombra, and I see kindred spirits. They've taken a desolated, deserted, forgotten section of the city and made it their home.
Yeah, I meant what I said. And that's a goddamn compliment.
Zehkhun also just takes it in and even looks like, as we're walking up to the town hall, looking at some of that, slightly immature metal welding and decorations, and is actually not amused by it, but finds it enchanting and hopeful that this is here in a city like West Crown.
As we enter the town hall, the previous bones of the structure were, of course, elevated, high quality, sort of noble aesthetic. While that is there, you can see that in the underlying structure. The layer of paint, metaphorically, that has been laid over it is much more utilitarian. Despite this being a king, and perhaps you're approaching his throne, you're really getting more of a vibe of city government, sort of mayoral, perhaps. And instead of being led to a throne, you are led to upstairs. As you go up this somewhat grand staircase, it opens up into a large chamber with a beautiful vaulted window that is allowing the sun to shine in completely, which means it's also quite warm in here, warmer in here than it is outside because of the lack of fresh air. It's a little uncomfortable. And instead of sitting on a throne, you see an older male goblin sitting behind a big wooden desk, perhaps sitting on a couple of books in this old chair to, make sure he's got the ergonomic posture that's appropriate for sitting in such a space. King Whitechin does indeed have a white beard, very much like a wizard beard that comes down perhaps to right past his Adam's apple, in a point. And there are many wrinkles in his face, but as you come up, you can see he's wearing a tuxedo vest, a vintaged tuxedo vest with even like a little pocket square in it that maybe has a couple stains in it. Well. Yes, welcome in. Hello, I am King Whitechin. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintances.
Zehkhun does a humble bow and looks at Ravaja with his eyes telling her to do the same.
Ravaja knows to follow Zehkhun's diplomatic lead and bows as well.
Sombra gives a deeper head nod more than a torso bend.
Hail, King Whitechin. I am Zehkhun of the Fleet, accompanying Ravaja of the Fleet, and we are here at your invitation for a parley, I believe.
Yes, I've heard much of both of you. Ravaja, of course, is a much respected leader in the city proper, from what I hear, yes? And, Zehkhun, you are, of course. He sort of stops for a moment trying to find what he wants to say, even like mouthing a couple of different words. Your name is whispered on many lips.
I hope that the whispered words that leave those lips are kind about me.
As he looks at Sombra, another goblin enters the room, and we can see this smaller femme green goblin has a big blue plant on her head as a hat. And we see Owasku entering in. And as she does, she's holding like a folder with papers in it. Not even looking at the three of you. She's clearly aware of your presence. She approaches the desk. King Whitechin, here are the reports you requested on activity in the Cader for the week. And King Whitechin says, yes, Owasku, welcome. This is my most trusted...
Sombra does another,
This is my most trusted advisor, my second in command, Owasku, Zehkhun Ravaja of the Fleet. And, I'm sorry, your name was?
Sombra crosses her arms and ensures to flex a bit. Sombra.
Owasku, face totally perfect, calm, placid, turns, hello, and doesn't reveal anything. Well, if that's all, then... No, of course you should stay and listen to this, Owasku. Okay. Clearly doesn't want to be in the same space with you. Please, chairs! And King Whitechin gestures to the chairs in front of the desk.
Zehkhun sits down on one of them, hoping for that, if we're looking at a seating order, that Ravaja will be in between him and Sombra at this at this desk.
And we'll sit down like that.
Yeah, he's sitting down to the right of Ravaja.
And Sombra would be sitting again to the other side of Ravaja, but a bit further back, like the Orcish delegation is here to speak to Whitechin, and Sombra has been invited, but is not a potential signatory to whatever is going down.
I am happy to see, Ravaja says, that you are taking good care of my people. This kingdom of yours is in fine shape. And Whitechin nods. Yes, we were quite surprised when the orcs started showing up a year or two ago, but everyone is welcome here in the kingdom. And he smiles. Owasku's mask slips a little bit, and there's a bit of a frown on her face. In fact, that's what this summit is about. We would like to create more bonds with the city. I've heard that the Rundatari have official station watch house in the Arboretum, and while that sort of thing isn't necessary here, it does make me concerned that the city of West Crown might be turning its eye towards us at some point. And, well, friends are always good to have in a fight, right?
You have much reason to be concerned about that. I think we do not have to tell you what a dangerous place this can be. We orcs have not been here for long, but we've already seen signs of how harsh this city can be. And from the brief view I have had at your kingdom, I understand your concern that you might draw in too much unwanted attention. You know of the Rundatari in the Ramble Gardens in the Arboretum? Then you perhaps also know that these servants of a faith I don't fully understand yet make their rounds here. The Asmodeans?
The Sisters of Izith have their run of the Rego Cader. We've had a run-in with them, some awful business at the Arboretum. One of my people were acting impetuously and were punished for it.
Punished by the sisters?
Yes.
Have the sisters come around here yet?
He looks at Owasku and she shakes her head. No, but it might just be a matter of time, or maybe they don't think we're worth it. You know how things are in Cheliax.
I mean, behaving more or less scrupulously than, how to put it, claiming part of Queen Abigail's sovereignty?
I merely wanted what was best for my people. I know you can understand that, Ravaja. I grew up in the sewers. For the longest time, the sewers was where a goblin belonged. Poking your head above ground would only get it whacked back down. Or, at best, you could hope for a job shoveling someone's shit. And so, when we found this place, it felt like a dream come true. And in a matter of 2 years, we've built a proper space for us. I know, the Rego Cader is dangerous. Bandits, groups come and go. There was that nasty business not too far away from here when one of our neighbors was raided and wiped out. Owasku, again, you can see her mask sort of, she takes like a long breath in through her nose and then out again.
Listen, I'm no fan of hers. Definitely not my queen. And I'd like her to go to hell, if that isn't where she'd be really happy to go. But people on their way to hell tend to do everything in their capacity to prolong the time before their ride to hell. And nothing that they do here is going to be worse than that. So the liberties they'll take are very, very wide and extreme.
Would you suggest we go back underground, squeeze ourselves into the narrow tunnels and the darkness and the wet, just to avoid a potential lashback?
Considering what you have built here, there's always reason to fight for something. Some things are worth fighting for, even if you're going to lose.
Ravaja clears her throat. I'm just curious, King Whitechin. Please just call me Whitechin. Right, Whitechin. What is your plan? Do you have a vision for the future? He strokes his white beard. I see the way the city is reacting to the Arboretum, which is nice and all, but it's clear to me, and probably you, that they just see it as fertile ground, a resource to be harvested, herbs for their salad, I guess. We don't have anything like that.
Don't call them herbs.
All right.
They really don't like that.
Okay. And I don't like being called Pipsqueak or whatever creative name the people of Westcrown can come up with for us. But it happens. I don't like that it rains sometimes, but I can't make the clouds go away. All I can do is try and keep myself dry. You catch my drift?
You have found yourself a place here with a lot of place to keep you and your people dry.
But we need more. If the city is turning its eye to the Cader with hopes of gentrifying this beautiful wasteland, then we need to make sure that we have the opportunities to present ourselves as needed and useful. And if we already got some friends in the Krua, he looks at Ravaja, that might help our case, should things take a left turn.
Whitechin, do you want your people to be useful, or do you want your people to be free?
Useful things get used.
I love this. I don't normally have such great philosophical conversations with my people. It's mostly just talking about what rats and dogs they saw in the ruins. We were free once. Free to spelunk as deep as we wanted in the sewers. We saw a lot of wacky shit down there. But I would like to make sure that we are free to survive and be comfortable and live under the open sky and not be squished down back into the holes in the ground. Is that so much to ask for?
No, it isn't. Zehkhun just immediately blurs that out. Like a little bit
Defensively?
A little bit defensively, more defensively than he wanted to say that. It isn't too much to ask to have that, to have what you have right now. But it is also wise of you to consider how you want to defend what you're having. Because there will be people in this city, there will be people everywhere around the world who will point at what you have and say, no, this is mine. Do you know how to defend this place?
Oh yeah, I mean, the shadow creatures, of course. But there are plenty of, shall we say, wise guys who live in the Cader who, think they can take us on. A couple of brigand bands. And we took care of them easily enough.
So, if I were to say that within the hour, a group of Hell Knights will be coming here and test your defenses, could you withstand them?
That I don't know.
Have you ever seen the Plead?
I have not. I try not to leave the compound as much as possible. And when I do, we tend to travel underground. At least we know the routes are safe there.
I can't tell you if there's a direct underground route to the Plead, but if you're talking about freedom, you should come and visit us to see the ironic symbol of freedom that we have turned a prison into our place of freedom. And I think that many of our orcs that we have there, they know how to defend a building. They know how to defend a street. You should come by for some ideas.
I would love that. And he smiles and kind of sort of smacks the desk joyfully.
Kind of sounds ridiculous as I'm saying it out loud, but Sombra sort of slouches in her seat and raises both her arms. People tend to think that I might not be able to defend myself from an easy target because I don't carry knives, swords. I don't look like a spellcaster. People make assumptions. They get close and they come to regret those assumptions. What you have here, and Sombra raises her arms to gesture, beyond the facade, defies the assumptions. And you know what? Good on you. Maybe it's a strength to keep that facade up. If Hell Knights, the sisters, Queen Abby, what's-her-face, if they never consider you a threat, if they don't think you'll ever be useful, they're going to think that, oh, they're just some delusional people who think they have a kingdom and aren't an actual threat. If that facade is followed through and underneath you're actually really goddamn well trained, beyond your metalworking, you have proper fortifications, that'd be hella funny.
Ravaja leans forward, clasps her fingers together. These are things we could offer your kingdom, Whitechin. Martial prowess, military training. What would we be getting in return? And Whitechin sort of... It's not as if we don't have our own ways of defending us, but what I can offer you in return is a full understanding of how to move through the city without being seen. Ravaja nods. That's a start. I think we might have an opportunity, she says, to continue these conversations and to continue building this relationship. Whitechin, that makes me really happy to hear that. Owasku just almost rolls her eyes.
What a delightful conversation between two people who just want to live freely in this city. I think this should be celebrated with a shared drink.
Hey, Owasku was your name, right? Why don't you bring us drinks and we can toast to our generous, hospitable hosts?
Yeah, Owasku, why don't you do that? Bring us something to drink. And she sort of, yes, my liege. And returns with, it's basically moonshine in shot glasses. I mean, it's not refined alcohol here, but it's liquor and it stings when it goes down and you feel a nice buzz as we toast.
To the thrice damned throne.
Sure, why not? Gulp, gulp, gulp. And we sideswipe away from that and return to outside of the Pleat in the late afternoon light. Ravaja is standing there with Zehkhun and Sombra, and Sombra, thank you for your help today. It was illuminating.
You're very welcome.
You don't actually live your life thinking that Hell Knights are gonna come busting down your door every day, or do you? She narrows her eyes.
They already have. So what's the next worst thing that can happen?
You're not the only one who I've heard that story from, but thank you for admitting it.
I mean, you're just trying to do right by your people.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We've received an open invite next week to the Wandering Grove. It's in a nicer part of the city than I'm used to. I don't know if festivals are my thing, especially human festivals, but Nico's a nice enough guy. Maybe I'll see you there, huh?
I think so. I hope so.
She nods, says goodbye, and walks inside.
As Ravaja is out of earshot, Zehkhun turns to Sombra and says, "You do honestly enjoy straddling the line with what you can get away with, don't you?"
Lines help you point out exits and entrances.
I think you were lucky that Ravaja was in a diplomatic mood today. But it does help to put her a little bit on edge in these situations.
Also, I never would have thought that the best for your community, considering all that you've shared that they've come through, is considering rebellion against their hosts. Congrats, welcome.
I think you are misunderstanding me a little here. I seek not rebellion. I don't want my people here to fight. But I've been on this world long enough to understand that you cannot just stand idly and believe that those in power will just let you thrive if they think you are a danger to them.
Here in West Crown, believing you have the right to a free breath and full ownership of your soul is very much an act of rebellion. So welcome to the rebellion. Look around, and Summer sort of raises her arms at like people walking day to day. Any one of those ever read a book that should have been pulled out of publication? Rebel. If anyone around decides to worship a certain god that isn't on the sanctioned list? Rebel. Anyone trying to cleverly read through a contract that finally does fuck over Thrune? Rebel. They're not doing what, we did a while ago, but they're rebels.
What we did, was that rebellion, or was that seeking justice, or are those two interchangeable to you?
When the powers that be are the ones commanding the injustices, rebellion is justice.
So you live your life like that?
I live my life like Hell Knights are going to bang through my door and burn everything down.
Did you never get tired of it?
I'm exhausted, Zehkhun. And for the record, I did try to quit. I did slow down.
How did that turn out for you?
Well, then I learned about the Leshies. Then I learned about the orcs at the Pleat. Then I learned about the optimistic fools in the Datari. Then I learned about the puppet masters behind the scenes.
You know what is kind of funny? When Ravaja asked me to come here, telling me to move from the holds into this faraway city, I always thought these cities were places of civilization. I equated it in my head to an order that gave people a place. That meant that people did not have to struggle.
There is an order. There is a place. It's just that you, me, and Sombra does a wide extension of her arm. Everyone else here, we're fodder. Our place is fodder.
It's not unlike the many battlefields I've seen in my life.
I bet. So you know it is exhausting.
It truly is.
It's a little less exhausting when you're not doing it on your own, though. Or at least when you can commiserate when someone else is going through it.
I do not seek to commiserate with anyone, but it does indeed help. Don't think I've forgotten that night where you spoke to me, the one where we ran from the bastards, and where my attempt at triage did not exactly improve the situation. I think I never really thanked you that you dared to speak up to me.
If anything, yeah, I got to speak out to you a little bit.
A little bit?
You literally pulled me from the brink of death and the rest of us more than once, so we're good.
Life is not quid pro quos, Sombra. At the end of our days, when we expire, there's not a bill that has a balance of what we gave and what we took. Life is about what we leave behind.
What are we leaving behind then?
Well, I'm not planning on letting any of you die just yet, so none of you are leaving anything behind. And I'm not planning on going just yet myself. But when the day comes, when all of you are dust, and when I sit down and admire my last sunset, I want to leave behind peace, Sombra. I want to leave behind a place where the young ones don't have to be in this rebellion you speak of, where the young ones don't need to go on battlefields and over again need to prove that yes, they have a right to be here. I want them to not know the slice of a sword against their skin, the burn of fire. I do not want them to know the loss of love. I want to leave behind peace.
And you and I doing it in the most obstinate, long form, against the odds manner possible by being here in West Crown.
Not how I wanted it, but it is how it is.
Are you saying we're going to save West Crown or something like that?
Well, if you phrase things a little bit differently when in the presence of people who make decisions, perhaps we have a chance at that.
I mean, when it comes to Ravaja, anything I say that may or may not piss her off can always get rectified in a ring, right?
Should I tell you about that one time when Ravaja really pissed off half a council of chieftains?
Oh, fuck. I want to know about that. And then I'm going to tell her to her face, and we're going to get into it.
And perhaps we see Zehkhun and Sombra enter the Pleat to sit down at one of the many tables inside of that open marketplace, and we fade to black.
Tumble Through presents Twilight's Edge, a Pathfinder 2nd edition actual play of the Council of Thieves adventure path, converted from Pathfinder 1st edition. Tumble Through uses trademarks and or copyrights owned by Paizo Incorporated, used under Paizo's fan content policy, paizo.com/licenses/fan content. Tumble Through is not published, endorsed, or specifically approved by Paizo. For more information about Paizo Incorporated and Paizo products, visit paizo.com.